Hello and good morning. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv, BOLES.tv, wearing my birthday gift from Jan Marie, the brain dead, lovely shirt with the velour thing going through the brain. I hope it's not a harbinger of the show, but it probably is predictable and it's all come true. Because here I am, still 4 or 5 months later, doing this stream. A stream that is seen Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. If we're lucky. So far, we've been pretty lucky. Haven't had too many problems. We've only not been here because of technical problems that have been beyond the range. And we're slightly late starting today because I was just setting up our MEE bot, MEE6 bot, on our Discord server. Now, if you have a Discord server, you have bots to protect you. Bots that handle registration, bots that handle CAPTCHAs, bots that handle assignments of roles. If you're selling things like NFTs, you have a verification bot that verifies that you actually own the NFT that you're saying that you own, so you can get special access to the whitelist part of the bot. Of the server, we don't have those kinds of bots on our server. But we do have protection bots, and MEE6 is one of the easiest to use. And some of these bots cost money monthly, but for a while, MEE6 was having this big sale where a one-time payment of like $80 gets you a lifetime subscription to the MEE bot. And it's a popular bot. People like the bot. So I just finally figured out how I can assign the MEE bot to become the Boles bot. Just like we do here, where our Streamlabs bot is renamed Boles bot. And so when I type a command, like a quote, see it shows up, it says Boles bot instead of Streamlabs bot. So I was setting that up this morning, like at 8:30, and oh my gosh, I got it to actually work. And you have to have tokens, and you have to go to Discord, and you have to become a developer, and you have to change your avatar and the name. And then they say that your new bot, which is now also Boles bot, replaces the MEE bot, so you can kick the old MEE bot from your server, is what the MEE bot people say. So, there you go. And this is our Discord server right here, up in the corner. Discord.gg/BOLES. I have been slowly filling it with content over the weekend. Put up all my NFTs, put some links, get the conversation going. Why? Well, it'll be a good place to chat, and you can chat live here with me, voice, if you're so inclined. And everything that I'm saying is being transcribed in our, I believe, yeah, here it is, okay, in our Boles TV text and chat channel. But if Elon Musk is successful and somehow purchases Twitter, and I don't think he will be. I'm reading analysis from people who are a lot smarter about this kind of thing than I am, and they say he doesn't have any money to do it. The richest man in the world doesn't have enough money to buy Twitter, because they say he would have to get loans on his Tesla stock. And no one bank is going to give him $40 billion because it would destroy that bank. So he's going to have to go to several banks to try to get money. And then if the Tesla stock goes down and he's borrowed against it, they are going to margin call him and make him pay back the loan. And he doesn't have any money to do that because he doesn't have cash. He has stock in Tesla. But maybe and they said the only way to do that is for him to go to friends and say, hey, you, friend, loan me the money. But these friends, they say that he has, are more interested in money and making money than they are about freedom of speech and giving Donald Trump full access to Twitter again. But in the event that Twitter becomes unusable because it's a political place and not a place of just tearing each other apart, we have our Discord server. So I'm slowly trying to set that up. I put up my NFTs, then someone else put up an image of their NFTs that they're trying to sell. And then they post links, which we don't allow in the Discord server because we don't want to talk about art that way. Just you trying to sell our people. We're trying to have a discussion about your art and why it's important and why it's interesting. So finally somebody said, okay, here's a picture of my art. What do you think? And it's not bad. It's interesting. It's like a penguin spaceman, something with a gun. I don't know. But it's different. And I don't know if it's digital or painted, but hey, I'm willing to take a look at it. So also over the weekend, we started our 2-day fast again, starting noon Friday, going into noon Saturday, easy. Then about 3 o'clock Saturday, you start getting a little hungry. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, let's watch a movie, 8 o'clock. Then the next day, noon, you go to sleep and you wake up and it's fine. And so we ordered some delicious Chinese food. Vegan Chinese food. And I'm not big on fortune cookies and fortunes that are in them, although I have noticed that the latest trend, at least in the East Coast, appears to be not to give fortune cookies anymore. I don't know if they're expensive. I don't know if it's a pandemic thing, but it's very rare now to get a fortune cookie included with your meal, at least when you're ordering takeout. Maybe if you're in the restaurant, they still give it to you. And I'm not big on reading fortunes, but this one I thought was kind of interesting that I'll share with you today. And it simply says, never doubt logical things. I don't know. Yeah, I can't even see that. I have autofocus turned off because then it jitters when we do sign language. But that's what it says, which I find very interesting. And then on the back, of course, there's an ad saying, hey, if you want more fortunes, go to this website, secondfortune.something. But I like that they're pushing logic in a fortune cookie because we need a lot more of that. Because as I read it over the weekend, an article in The Atlantic, in the last year, we have become dumber as a nation. And part of it's this equal access, where the dumb and stupid people have a platform where they can go on and spout all their ridiculousness and all their foolishness and be taken seriously by some people. And then it becomes, well, we have to hear both sides. We have to hear the rational, logical, scientific side. And then to be fair, we have to listen to the ridiculous made-up stories just so we appear that as a news organization or as an open-minded person that we can hear both sides. And we need to go back to saying we don't want to hear it from the crazy people because they're hurting the rest of us with their lies and misinformation. That was a good thing about having gatekeepers at one time. It was hard to get in, and you had to be somebody to be on TV and to be heard and to be interviewed. You had to have something interesting to say. And that doesn't necessarily mean liberal or conservative. If you were interesting and you were qualified, you were in. Now everything goes. Anybody says anything about whatever they want to say. It's a big disappointment. Now, one thing I learned also about fasting through my Oura Ring and my Apple Health is that the body tends to love a 2-day fast when it comes to HRV. Now, if you've been a fan of this live stream, you know how I feel about HRV. It's fascinating, confusing, and it's like something you always want and can never really get. HRV is heart rate variability, which is the time in multi-milliseconds, whatever it's called, of the pause between your heartbeat. Theoretically, and this is scientific, and the reason it's scientific is because it can't be quantified. Scientifically, the longer the pause between the beats of your heart, the better, meaning that your heart is not working as hard. Now, everybody's HRV is different, and people who don't know a lot about HRV will try to compare themselves with other people. And they get very depressed because their HRV is not the same as the person who has a high HRV. Now, if you're younger, your HRV is going to be higher. Some people have an HRV of 120. Some people have an HRV of 2. And these people say, my HRV is 2. I'm dead, right? Yeah, keep posting. You're not dead yet, but working on it. So my HRV tends to vary daily, as everyone's does, between 40 and 50, which is not great, but it's not terrible. I prefer 70, but sometimes it's hard to get there. And you raise your HRV by getting a lot of sleep and by doing cardio. But not always. There are lots of factors that influence HRV. Medication, too much exercise, not enough exercise. It's very, as they say, variable. And one thing I've noticed across everybody is when you drink alcohol, one drink of alcohol. Hey, there's Gardein! Is HRV something you can see on your Apple Watch? I believe yes, but it's only taken while you're sleeping. If you're not wearing your Apple Watch to bed, you're making a major mistake, because that's when it tracks all your heart rate and your breathing and your HRV. It's based on your sleep patterns, is how Apple does it. And Aura too, in many ways. Aura's supposed to be taking it all day, but they take their major readings at night. And there are devices that you can buy that will track your HRV. And they're they're like $100, $200. I don't have one. They've been out of stock for 2 years. But if you drink 1 glass of alcohol, any kind of alcohol, your HRV plummets by an average of 20. True everywhere. Ask a doctor, ask anyone who tracks their HRV. 1 drink, your HRV is down 20. So if you're averaging 40, you're going to wake up in the morning and your HRV is going to be 20. Now, one thing I noticed this weekend during our fast is that on the first night, my HRV was at 40, which was pretty good. And then the next day, when I woke up Sunday, my HRV was 70. Now, for me, that's a rare number. That's a very, very good number. No alcohol. And no eating. So no eating somehow gives your body a chance to recover and rest and get your HRV up. So it's almost as if I did a 10-minute run on Saturday, which I didn't. I rested. I did some stretching and some yoga and Pilates, but I didn't do anything cardio. Because sometimes I notice you get a little dizzy when you're fasting and you're on medication. And then the next day, the HRV was 70. Terrific. Mine usually varies between like 55 and 62 every day, which is not great. I admit I get a little depressed. I would like my HRV to be 100. But it's never been that. And everybody that I know says, don't worry about it. The only thing that matters, the only metric that matters is your HRV over time. Is it going up or is it going down? And mine has remained steady, even for being an old man. So HRV is very important. A lot of people understand it. It's very technical. It's very hard to predict. It's very hard to figure out. But it is an important health meter that you should try to find a way to measure if you can. So before I get into Spiderman, because that's a little bit of a conversation, I'll do my quick sort of vegan jerky review. Now, vegan jerky is something that's very interesting and very telling. Now, we have had a lot of vegan jerky over our lives. And it's delicious. And we usually get the Louisville Jerky. It's very expensive, so we don't order it very much. It tends to be very wet and very moist, which is un-jerky-like. But a lot of vegan food And vegetarian food tends to have the same mouth consistency. That's why sometimes it's good to add fried onions or some kind of nut to give you something to sort of crunch. Because tofu, beans, salad, cooked spinach, corn, all sort of has the same mushy mouthfeel. But the right kind of vegan jerky will change all that. And over the weekend, it's been out for about a month, we found at Dwayne Reed Beyond Meat vegan jerky. There was a little stand in the aisle. I screamed a little bit when I saw it. Wah! And of course, Jana's first reaction was, no, come on, get away from that. Keep going. I said, no, we've been looking for this for a month. And then she saw it. It's like, ooh. And they had all three flavors: original, teriyaki, and super duper spicy. So we bought 2 and 2 of the regular and the teriyaki, and 1 of the super spicy, and 1 was too many. So this is what it looks like. This is the original flavor, Beyond Meat. Now you can see it sells for $5.29. Now if you go to Walmart, you can get it for $3.29. As someone in the vegan group said, they are like crack dealers, Walmart, and they're getting everybody bound up in buying it for $3.25, and then they're going to sell it for $7 in 6 months after everyone is hooked. So this is the 3-ounce version. They also sell a 1-ounce version, especially on Amazon. So be careful. A 3-ounce version is maybe a good little tiny snack if you're super hungry, or if you have a beloved and you're sharing. Now, the one really unfortunate thing about this is the sodium. The potassium is very good at 100. Where's the sodium? It's got to be the biggest one on there. I can't see it though. The sodium is 500. So if you eat this whole thing, which is 3 servings, that's 1,500 milligrams of sodium. And daily, you should be limited to 2,500. So if you eat one of these, you're kind of done with your salt for the day. But as a little snack once in a while, it's perfectly fine. So this is the original. This is the teriyaki, with the little thing in there to keep the moisture out. 10 grams of protein a serving, which means there are 3 servings, so you get 30 grams if you eat the whole thing. And here is the empty, hot and spicy. Now here is my review of these. And online, there are a wide variety of views. Some people say original is the best. Some people say teriyaki is good. Other people say teriyaki is too sweet. People say the hot and spicy is the best one of all. Hey, there's Mr. Gordon. I'm sold just from the brand. Beyond is beyond amazing for their burgers. I 100% agree with you. Beyond is really terrific. I love Impossible, but the Beyond stuff is first to market. They did a great job. A lot of celebrities have a lot of money in Beyond Meat. I think I read maybe a year ago that Johnny Depp invested $400 million or some ridiculous amount of money in Beyond. Wow. Now that's commitment. It was some big celebrity, but for some reason I'm thinking it's Johnny Depp. Now, in our informal taste test, which we had this Sunday at noon, so we bought this on Saturday, maybe it was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday. And then we saved it as our reward for the end of our fast at noon. And I put them in 3 little bowls, tiny, tiny little bowls like this. And this filled it up. It's only 3 ounces. And this, the original, which Walmart in our area is sold out of. They have a lot of teriyaki. They have a lot of spicy. Buy it online. Have it delivered. Cheap. The original they don't have. Sold out of both the 1 ounce and the 3 ounce version. Now this Beyond Meat jerky original is absolutely fantastic. Shockingly delicious. And I don't say that a lot about vegan stuff. But this has the bite and the pull of regular beef jerky that I remember from my childhood. You sort of have to... Now, Janet just takes and pulls out her teeth. I delicately put it in my mouth and then swish it around a little while so my saliva softens it up slightly so I can chew it. But it has that mouthfeel of original, real, live jerky. And the taste is fantastic. Shockingly fantastic. Who would think original of anything would taste any good because it doesn't have any flavor? This has flavor. I would buy, if they were available, 20 of these today. And it's funny that wherever you buy them, they all have an expiration of January of next year. So you know they're brand new. They've been out a month or so. And they all have the same expiration date. And people say, can it really last that long? And people say, yeah, it's not real meat. It's beyond meat. So we have this one bag left. And maybe Janet Marie forgot about it, and I can just eat it all myself, probably. Now here's the teriyaki, which I thought I was really going to love because I love teriyaki, anything and everything. It was okay. Some people say it's too sweet. I didn't think it was too sweet. I just didn't think the original just has that special taste to it. This tastes a little more like sugar-coated in some way. But this one was Janet Marie's favorite, which surprised me because she is not as big a fan of teriyaki as I am. Loved it. And we shared both of the other. We shared the first, we had shared. Oh, now here we go. The hot and spicy. Now, I've talked about it before. Anything more spicy than margarine, I cannot tolerate. But I thought, okay, hot and spicy. We'll buy one bag. It can't be that bad, right? And eat it. And we tried it. We had a taste test, and we tried it. And I think Janet Marie ate 2 pieces, and I ate 1. And we stopped. We did not touch it again. And then she ate the rest of the teriyaki, and I ate the rest of the original. And we left the hot and spicy to sit there. It's not terribly spicy. It just tastes a little off to me. And I asked her, I said, should we buy this again? She said, no. And I said, okay, good. I said, I'm surprised you didn't like it because sometimes you like things that are spicy, like this. And she said, no. So that was an interesting experience. Now, Beyond is new to the jerky market, and people have been really raving about this for a very long time. And finally, it's now finally available. I could not believe it was in our Dwayne Reed / Walgreens. I was shocked that it's that mainstream. But boy, they did a good job of distribution. So this is Louisville Jerky that we have eaten a lot in the past. Tends to be very hot and very spicy, no matter which one you buy. And it's also super, super wet, which to me is not jerky. The Gardein Ultimate Jerky, we have never tried, but it sounds good. Gardein makes really good stuff. They have huge, giant, extreme, I think they call it, chicken fingers and chicken patties. Vegan. Terrific. Very delicious. Noble Jerky, never heard of it. But look at that. This is on the Walmart website. Look at all these jerkies that they have. I really didn't know it was this popular. Mushroom Jerky is new. Mark Cuban on the Shark Tank purchased Pan's Mushroom Jerky, and everyone ordered the next day, and after 6 months, he never delivered. So I canceled my order. And I've never seen Pan's Mushroom Jerky anywhere. I don't know what happened. Here is Portobello Jerky, which I admit sounds delicious. Smokehouse Bacon, I'm not thrilled about that, but I understand why they're doing it. And we've tried some of these other lower name brands, and they're not terrific. But look at all these jerkies. I had no idea. And they're all vegan. That's the search I did on Walmart. Vegan jerky. It's terrific. They have 3 pages of vegan jerky on Walmart. I had no idea. I usually buy all my stuff on Amazon, but this, you can't beat this. Amazing stuff. And there's all the Louisville stuff. They have all kinds of different flavors. They have different brands. They have specials. To me, after the 12th version, it's the same thing. It's exactly the same meat. They're just adding a different flavoring to it. But the Beyond stuff feels like it's, been rendered and smoked in a smokehouse and all that fun stuff. So there's the vegan jerky review. You can't beat Beyond. What are you going to do? They're first to market. They know what they're doing. They're a well-run company, and their future is going to be super, super, super bright. It's very exciting. And now we're going to take our brief blood pressure break of the day. We will return in a moment. And we are back. Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. And we are live. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Now, we just finished our vegan jerky review talking about Beyond Meat. Now, here's a hint and a bit of advice. If you're invited somewhere as a vegan to like a barbecue with meat eaters, and you bring your Impossible Burgers or your Beyond Meat burgers to the barbecue, be prepared to bring enough for everybody, especially if they're meat eaters. Because what happens is you arrive, and even if they're nice people, there are people who will mock you for bringing your own burger to a barbecue. And then you explain who you are, why. Okay. Then, after they're done mocking you, and they see how delicious your burger looks, they'll say, hey, do you mind if I take a bite? And of course, you want to spread the word. You're a good vegan. You say, of course, have a little bit. And they take a bite and they say, oh, this is good. This is better than my burger. And you say, yeah, can I have my burger back? And what inevitably happens is your burgers disappear. So you bought enough for you and your beautiful wife, and suddenly it's all gone, and you have nothing left. And they're not eating their own meat burger. So it's hard. And you can't say no, because then you one of those. You won't share. I'm interested in what you're doing. It's a lose-lose situation. Just stay home and cook it yourself. Because you got to bring a lot. Because people are interested and they want to mock you, but they're also very curious. So their curiosity is a mocking that doesn't always get supported. So over the weekend, because we were fasting again, and we're going to fast again this weekend, and we watch movies, and that's what we do. We watched the Spiderman movie. Now, this is the movie that's been out, made all the money. Not really super interested in seeing it, but some curiosity. And we can't see these always in the theater because we need to wait for closed captions. Now, some theaters have open captions, but you have to put a thing on your head, and it's very clunky and unfriendly, and we're in a pandemic. So we just wait for it to come on demand. And we pay extra for it, but it's cheaper than going in person, and then you can own the movie. So this is the multiverse, Far From Home, No Way Home, whatever it is. And the movie was okay. Very long. 2.5 hours for a Spider-Man movie. You could cut half an hour out of it, and it would be an even more interesting movie. So here's a quick review. I'm not a big Tom Holland fan. He's the current Spider-Man. Didn't ever really like him. And the one before him, Andrew Garfield, not a big fan. And he's a very good actor. There's a movie he did a couple of years ago that's really terrific that I'll share with you in a moment. But as Spider-Man, doesn't fit. Tobey Maguire, that's a Spider-Man. Love Tobey. Great. And I understand, doing a little bit of research about Tobey, that he had some drinking problems early on. And he says he's clean and sober now and he's vegan, but back then when he was making Spider-Man 1, I guess he must have been a problem on the set because they fired him for Spider-Man 2. And I'm thinking, how could you fire Tobey? He's Spider-Man. And I guess his wife at the time, her daddy was the head of the studio, who then intervened and said to the producers, oh, by the way, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, Tobey's getting the role. And he did, and I'm glad he did. So it's a moment when they open the portals and they bring in the two other Spider-Men. And when Tobey came through, I was a little choked up because he looks great. Very thin, though. But he looks great, and I just love Tobey. He has such kind, wonderful eyes. He was perfect to play that version of Peter Parker. But in the movie, Marissa Tomei, who plays Aunt May, terrible. Please hurry up and die already so we can move on. You're not that interesting a character. It doesn't make any sense how you're trying to fight the bad guys. Zendaya, who is also in Dune, hot. Not Timothée Chalamet hot, but still hot. I don't understand it. I don't find her very interesting to watch on screen. Willem Dafoe, I kind of felt the same way about him. Overdoing it. Now, if you want a good Willem Dafoe movie, you got to watch The Lighthouse. Now, that's terrific, where he plays an insane guy with... Let me see if I can look that up. The Batman guy. What's his name? Robert Pattinson. Oh, here's Gordon. Gordon says, Toby, good Peter, not so good Spider-Man. Andrew, good Spider-Man, not so good Peter. Nobody believed as a teenager even then. Tom, good at both, I feel. He sells being an awkward teenager and has good fighting technique. Just my take. Mind you. And that does seem to be the popular view. People really seem to like Tom Holland. And he looks great. This is his best Spider-Man, by the way. He did a very good acting job with all the crying. Now, here's a good movie if you really want to see Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson as actually doing some acting, is The Lighthouse. Wow. This was a movie. Weird. Shot with old cameras and old lighting. And they're just so bizarre together. And then they kind of become one another. I just loved it. I thought that's the kind of movie you want to have in the movie theaters, is something like The Lighthouse. And of course it was a big flop and nobody went to see it. But the acting was spectacular. Just spectacular. Willem Dafoe. He's never been better in anything. And he's been around for a long, long time. One of our deans at Columbia started off his life as a producer. And he cast Willem Dafoe in his very first movie called The Loveless. And said, and I agree, discovered Willem Dafoe. And he's not that much older than I am. That was a great movie. If you want to see something strange, different, well acted, between his two actors, pretty much the whole thing, stuck in a lighthouse. And the meaning of life, oh boy, that's a movie for you. And Alfred Molina in Spider-Man as Doc Ock, absolutely fantastic. My God, that guy is an actor. He plays bad guy 1 minute, and then he turns around and he's the good guy, and you believe everything he says. And when he looks at Toby and says, "You've grown up," it's a beautiful, beautiful, touching moment, because you believe it. I thought a lot of the dialogue was clunky and bad, and it didn't need to be. Now, my experience with Spider-Man goes way back to 1977. And I'm losing frames. That's okay. Our upload is good. Frames is lost is 0.2%. And I really, really wanted, in 1977, there was a TV show called The Amazing Spider-Man. And it was the first live-action Spider-Man we've ever had. And I thought to myself, watching that new Spider-Man movie, why couldn't they go back and bring in the Spider-Man from 1977 and let them open a third portal and bring him in? People my age, who that movie is not for really, would have cheered and cheered and cheered to see Nicholas Hammond back as Peter Parker. And I believe Nicholas is 71 now. Now talk about a multiverse. There have not been a lot of live-action Spider-Man on TV or on film. And Nicholas Hammond was the first. And he made a lot of history. And this is Nicholas Hammond as Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, 1977. I was 12 years old. It was sort of terrible in that Nicholas played Peter Parker and Spider-Man was played by some other guy in a suit. This is when Spider-Man was hyphenated. It is no longer hyphenated. And Nicholas Hammond was a great actor, interesting actor. There's a big joke in the multiverse movie, whatever it's called, No Way Home, where the web is natural or unnatural. There it's unnatural, climbing up and down buildings. It was all very sort of hokey, but so much fun. You talk about it in class the next day. The cast was very interesting and wonderful. Why not? In that suit? Bring back Nicholas Hammond. You don't ever retire from being Spider-Man, right? You can be Spider-Man at 71. Now this is the best. This is the best. Because Spider-Man and Peter Parker are the same person. So how can Nicholas Hammond and Spider-Man be in this promo picture? It's not possible. Now, Nicholas Hammond, you may also remember, was Doug in the Brady Bunch. He's the big high school jock who wants to take Marcia Brady out on a date. And then, as fate would have it, Gordon is telling me it is still hyphenated Spider-Man. Well, that's interesting, because I heard it was not hyphenated anymore. That's very interesting. It does look like it's still hyphenated. That's one thing about old Gordon. He's not going to let you get away with anything. He always checks. And double checks. And I believe he triple checks. I read something about them not wanting to hyphenate it anymore, but obviously, I'm not right about that. Oh, here it is. And these are all, but these are the three guys. There's Andrew, there's the new guy, and there's Toby. Now, you look at Toby, he's very thin, vegan, and they say that he put on weight to play Spider-Man. So that means he's even skinnier than this in real life. I hope he's okay, because that's pretty skinny. So going back to our friend Nicholas Hammond, he was Doug in Brady Bunch. And then Marcia gets hit in the nose with a football, I believe thrown by Peter, her brother. And it breaks her nose, and she's ugly. And Doug, Nicholas Hammond, says, well, you know, Marcia, something suddenly came up, and I can't take you out anymore. Marcia, Gordon says. Thank you, Jan. And then her nose gets better, and she decides to go to the prom, whatever, a date with Charlie, her ugly red-haired friend. And then Doug happens to see her on campus and says, hey, Marcia, let's go out on that date we were going to go out on. And she says, sorry, Doug, I can't. Something suddenly came up and throws it back in his face. But you really remember Nicholas Hammond here from The Sound of Music. Friedrich in The Sound of Music. So this guy has had a spectacular career. Even though he's only done a couple of iconic things, and now he's 71, and that's how he looks in real life now. Now, wouldn't you love to see that Spider-Man come into that universe and fight his bad guys? And it was unfortunate, I thought, in Spider-Man that all the bad guys are male. Can we not have one female villain to fight, or are boys not allowed to hit women in the Spider-Verse? But he was great in Sound of Music, an iconic movie. He was great as the Amazing Spider-Man in 1977, a great iconic movie. And he was great as Doug on the Brady Bunch, breaking Marcia's heart. But he's a good-looking guy. Now that would have made the movie really, really terrific. Bring back Nicholas Hammond. Before we take our next break, our friend from our live stream, Jana's live stream mainly, our friend Kathy G is hospitalized in Omaha, and she's at a big medical center. It's the top trauma center in the Midwest, University of Nebraska Medical Center. And she's there. She's has problems with blood sugar, has a leg problem, and she's going to be there for the next 2 weeks. So that's a month being hospitalized. And unfortunately, she never got vaccinated. But so far, she's not hospitalized because of COVID. And I guess because her doctors are very strict, they have now vaccinated her. And in 2 weeks, she's going to get her second shot. They're not going to make her wait 3 or 4 weeks because who knows what's going to happen. They have her in captivity. So they're giving her a shot. So that's good. So she said she's bored to death. And she sent us this photograph of Jana Marie teaching ASL on the weekends. So she's bored to death, but watching Jana Marie for the entertainment value. On her new iPad. She has a new iPad. And she has a new Apple Watch, and she has a new iPhone. It's all good stuff. So she's all up to date and has better equipment than we have. And so we hope she gets better, and we hope she keeps watching our video on demand and feels better soon, because it's no fun to be our age and to be stuck in a hospital for a month. Because who knows if you're ever going to come out again. And with that, we take a very brief break. Back in a moment. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv, BOLES.tv, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Well, here's a couple of other thoughts about the Spider-Man the movie. Now, this is the biggest problem I had with the whole idea of the script. All of these metaverses are brought back, multiverses brought back, right? And the evil villains that each of these various Peters fought. And the current Peter says, all of these villains are not bad people. We need to heal them and then send them back. And Doctor Strange says, no, we can't touch them. We send them back as they were, bad and all, for them to continue to wreak havoc. And young Peter says, I'm not doing that. And then has a big fight with Doctor Strange and steals the box that sends everybody back in time. Now, this is what I don't understand. If the idea in these movies is that you're not supposed to mess with the space-time continuum, you don't interfere with what is going on and what has gone on and what must go on because it changes history and changes time. And the young Peter has already messed everything up by interfering, by trying to make the whole world forget about him. And yet he gets his way, and he abandons Doctor Strange in the Grand Canyon for a month or whatever. And then he heals all the bad guys by fighting them and sends them all back home. Now, how does that change the fabric and pattern of the world in the world from which these bad people came? They're no longer bad, but they've done bad things. So they're still going to be in big trouble because they've done bad things. How did they not mess up the whole... And maybe that's what the new Doctor Strange movie is about, the multiverse. The aftermath of Peter Parker not listening to me. Signed Doctor Strange. Now, that would be interesting. I don't think that's what the movie's about. But it's left completely unexplored. I'm going to mess with time and history in the future by changing these villains and making them good people. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, Gordon brought up the hyphenation of Spider-Man after I said that they were putting Spider-Man together. Oh, Gordon says, if you saw the Loki TV series, which I have not, the notion of changing the timeline as being bad is quite clear. Remember that those villains were taken from their world moments before they were to die. Doc Ock right before he was about to die, etc. That's right. So now, are they still dying? But they're dying for the good? And if they're dying at the hands of Spider-Man, when the two Spider-Men get pulled in, they're not fighting anybody. They're just there, like one is in the street and the other one is just walking down the street. So I looked up this hyphenation thing that I brought up and Gordon corrected me on. Why the hyphenation in Spider-Man? And I guess here's the real answer, where Stan Lee said back in 2010, Spidey's official name has a hyphen. Spider-Man. Know why? When I first dreamed him up, I didn't want anyone confusing him with Superman. Okay. Here's what Grammarphobia says 2 years later. Question. The latest Spider-Man movie has made me realize that I've been misspelling the superhero's name as Spider-Man, all one word. As I type this, the red wiggly spell check line tells me the non-hyphenated word is wrong. So why does Spider-Man have a hyphen? The answer, Spider-Man's name has a hyphen because Stan Lee... there's Nora! I haven't seen the latest Spider-Man movie, so I can't comment. You can comment on the hyphenation. And you're not missing much by not watching the new. It's 2.5 hours you're not going to get back out of your life. A Spider-Man's name has a hyphen because Stan Lee, who created the character with Steve Ditko, apparently wanted to distinguish him from Superman. In the comment on Twitter, which you just read. However, Lee's memory may have been playing tricks. And this is where this Stan Lee needed a Gordon Davidescu to step in and correct him. However, Lee's memory may have been playing tricks. His superhero's name appeared as 2 words. Spider-Man, without the hyphen. No dash, when it first showed up in 1962 on the cover of the final issue of Amazing Fantasy, a magazine previously known as Amazing Adult Fantasy. And clarity may not have been the only reason for distinguishing Spider-Man from Superman. We've read that Lee, a former president of Marvel Comics, may have wanted to avoid infringing on the DC Comics trademark for the unhyphenated Superman. Ant-Man is also hyphenated, I learned on the break. Stanley, by the way, is the pen name of Stanley Martin Lieber. Interestingly, the word Spider-Man has been around, with and without a hyphen, before the Stan Lee character showed up. The first published reference in the Oxford English Dictionary is from the Britannica Book of the Year 1955, Spider-Man, no dash, an erector of building structures. The OED's entry for Spider-Man, Oxford uses a hyphen, defines the term as one employed to work on high structures, a steeplejack. We'll end with a 1958 citation from the Radio Times, a British magazine that features broadcast program listings. The Spider-Man, and steel-erectors work at great heights, often where there are no means of protection. They walk along girders at dizzying heights as though they were strolling along Piccadilly. And by the way, be skeptical of those red wiggly lines. There are lots of words that spell dash checkers. Don't know. That is very true. That's good. So that is from the Grammarphobia blog. Very interesting stuff. Now, before I just mentioned Andrew Garfield, and he's a great Broadway actor, movie actor, and one of his most memorable roles for me was Silence. In the 17th century, 2 Portuguese Jesuit priests traveled to Japan in an attempt to locate their mentor, who is rumored to have committed apostasy and to propagate Catholicism. And Adam Driver is in it, Darth Vader from Star Wars, and Andrew Garfield is in it with a big beard, and Liam Neeson is in it, looking very Jesus-like here. It's a wonderful, fascinating movie, directed by Martin Scorsese, if you can believe that. It's a very quiet, introspective movie. Liam Neeson is great in everything. I love watching him kill people in Taken, and Kylo Ren from Star Wars. Right. Does he not? Isn't that Darth Vader? Kylo Ren? Gordon will know. And here he is in Silence. There's Andrew. Fabulous. He's fabulous in this movie. And you think, I'm sorry you had to do Spider-Man so you could do this movie. Adam Driver doesn't last long in this movie, but wow. Fantastic, fantastic actor. And I'm sure they think, oh my gosh, my whole life I'm going to be remembered for playing these characters in Star Wars and Spider-Man, where I really wanted to be remembered for my role in Silence. And it's all about faith and belonging and finding a way to survive. And this is Andrew Garfield's movie. It's not Liam Neeson's movie. Liam Neeson is sort of an antagonist. And you root for Andrew the whole way. And for Adam. Amazing, amazing movie. And it really didn't get any credit, didn't get any traction. But I say it doesn't matter because the movie exists. 2016, it's there. It's available to watch. You can take advantage of it. Liam Neeson has not made a bad movie. As I said, he's good at shooting and killing things. Like Keanu Reeves. And Keanu's had a great career. Love Keanu. Very limited as an actor. I think he will admit that. Now, over the weekend, a very interesting thing happened, and it's too fascinating not to have a conversation about. XQC, who you see here, calls out Spanish streamers for threatening to forfeit Twitch rivals Rust event. Now, this is XQC, who is now 25 years old. He is the, I would say, #1 Twitch streamer. I believe he's sitting in front of his new car, and I believe he paid $300,000 for that car. This is not about his car, but he paid $300,000 for that car, and he's 25, and he doesn't drive. He doesn't have a driver's license. And he makes $8 million a year from streaming. But hey, when he streams for 12 hours a day. So you can't say he's not earning his money because the guy is earning his money. So over the weekend, I watched some of it, which I sort of regret because watching Grand Theft Auto, there's always something going on. Someone being chased somewhere. It's very exciting. Watching people play Rust for 48 hours is terrible. What makes a great actor? Dora asks. I say versatility. Where you get a performance out of them that is a performance you were not expecting. You see a Will Smith movie, same in everything. You see a Liam Neeson movie, you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get Schindler or the guy from Taken. You're going to get the guy in a snowplow taking revenge for his dead something, or are you going to get the priest in Silence? I would say uniqueness is important. Surprise. Marlon Brando would make things up. Every take, he would do something different, just a little different. And if you watch him and you know him, you can see, okay, that's Marlon. That's not a director. Just he would pick something up. He would look at it. He would put it down. His eye would go this way instead of this way. And it was just very, very interesting and alarming. So watching people play this video game Rust for 48 hours, and I've never seen Rust before, but I guess it's like a civilization game where you start with rocks and bows and arrows and move up to rockets and spaceships. But people tend to die a lot in Rust, and then they are naked and afraid, and they have to go to their stash and put their clothes back on and get all their weapons again. So 95% of the game is people recovering from dying, which is really, really boring to watch and really, really boring to play based on what you see. So it was like North America against, I guess, Europe, Spain. And the game was slow, and there are different time zones. So when the Americans are awake and fighting, the Spanish team is asleep, and the other way around. Well, I think it was $100,000 was up as the prize for the winning team. And then the losing team got some of that money too, but the big money went to the winning team. And you raid each other's camps, and whoever kills the other side the most gets the most dog tags, which I guess you get when you kill people, is evidence that you have successfully won the game. Okay. So, and I saw this in real time. XQC raided, I guess, a Spanish camp. And he doesn't know Spanish. None of the people on his team knew Spanish. They were all trying to remember their high school Spanish, and they want to send a message to the Spanish team. And in these games, there's a lot of F word, there's a lot of the B word. It's very potty mouth, the whole thing, because you're trying to give people a hard time. And they spelled something that meant, I think it was FUPA, which I guess in Spanish means BITCH. And it was like, this loot is empty, FUPA. And they didn't know if they'd spelled it right or if it was even the right grammar, but they put it in there. They typed it on there, it's a note, and they put it in the thing. And then I guess everybody, all the Americans stayed up all night and were collecting things and scrap iron to make new weapons. And when the Spanish, when it was time for them to go to sleep, everyone on their team went to sleep. And they didn't play for this period of time, where the Americans didn't sleep. They had it all organized where some people would sleep based on time zone, other people would work all night and then they'd switch. And that's how you play the game. It's a 48-hour marathon. Well, I guess when the Spaniards woke up, they found this note calling them a B word, and they were all upset. Well, this is racist and this is bigoted, and we don't want to play a game like that. You're racist and bigoted. And so the rest of the American team saying, what are you talking about? This is what we do. We taunt each other as part of the game. Well, and it's also unfair that while we were sleeping, you guys kept working. So now we slept and you guys are way ahead of us in material and weapons, and we don't have anything, so we're not going to play anymore. This is after like 24 hours of the game. And so the Americans said, what are you talking about? This is not bigoted. This is how you play the game. It's a 24-hour marathon. You should sleep in shifts like we did so you can always be generating money and weapons and power. And I guess the head of the Spanish team said, no, we're not playing anymore. And so this is all happening in live chat. So then I went to bed. XQC stayed up like he always does. When I woke up, there was this big 6 hours left, and the Spanish team was nowhere to be found. The admins of the game and Twitch and Rust were in chat as well, saying, we're trying to negotiate with the Spanish team to bring them back so we can finish the game with a big fight, and we're going to be giving them weapons and material. And then the Americans were all upset. What do you mean you're giving them free stuff? They could have done it, but they chose not to. We chose to work and not sleep, and they chose to sleep, and you're rewarding them. But I guess all the bribery in the world would not bring back the Spanish team. They said, we're not going back. You're bigoted, and it's racist. And they said, the American team said, look, the one thing they have going against them is that they're lying about us being bigoted and racist, so they're blaming us. Because we're all streamers, and everything we've said and done over the last day and a half is recorded. You can go back and look at it, and you can see that none of us were being racist about anything. If anything, we're stupid and we don't know what we're doing. But that's not intentional or unintentional racism against the Spanish team. So there was like an hour left, and the big finale of the Europeans against the North Americans, big smash for the $100,000 wasn't happening. And there was like half an hour where it was the Spaniards' turn to raid the Americans, and they were waiting in their camp. And it was like half an hour, and XQC is going crazy, saying, look, there's nothing to do. I'm being drained. When I have something to do, he has ADHD, and he doesn't take medication, I don't believe. But he's very blunt about it, open about it. And I said, look, when my energy gets drained, and we're just sitting around for half an hour, and I start going inside my head instead of concentrating on the game, and I don't like what I'm seeing, and it wears me out. And then this morning, as he was reflecting on this, he said, I'm having an existential crisis where I feel like I'm not doing enough in my life, but I feel like I'm doing everything, and I don't know what to do about it. So I'm going to bed. So the Spaniards did not raid the American camp. And I guess time ran out. So it was turn for the Americans to go raid the Spanish camp. They said, okay, Lord, let's just go. We know they're not there. They took all the doors off of everything. But we'll go there. We'll take all their loot. We'll burn down their camp, which is what you do in the game. And then we'll celebrate with fireworks afterward. And the admins stepped in and said, you cannot raid their camp. And the Americans said, what do you mean we can't raid their camp? That's how the game ends. And they said, no, it would be unfair that they have left the game and they left everything open, and for you to go over there, it would just be hollow and meaningless, and we are not allowing you to do that. If you go over there and try to get into their camp, you won't be able to get in because we have blocked you all. So now the Americans say, well, now what do we do? Do we get all the money? Do they get some of the money? What happens? The admins would not respond. The whole thing was a terrible flop. So the Americans said, well, let's just shoot off our fireworks and dance and celebrate. So they shot off their fireworks, which took about 20 minutes. And there were American flags and the McDonald's sign. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, but also sort of fun. A celebration dance that I guess they said, well, we won because they quit and didn't show up. So we won by default. But I felt bad for the Rust people and for Twitch people, and so did XQC, saying they put all of this work into it. And it was all ruined because the Spaniards were a bad team, bad sports. They got beat by the rules of the game, and instead of trying to overcome it, or taking help from the admins to try to get a little bit of an edge, they just decided we're not going to go. We're not playing anymore. So it was a big bomb for everybody who was watching, who was playing the game. And one woman, and there are very few women streamers, said, well, this didn't work out, but I'm so glad that I got to meet you all. And SQC said, look, let's just forget it. I don't want the money. But then other people said, look, there are small streamers on here, and getting a slice of, I think there were 40 players on each team. Getting a slice of that $100,000 to them is a lot of money. I mean, I know XQC, you're going to donate yours to charity and match it, but some of these others are playing for their lives. So we just can't, burn the place down and say, F them all. And so XQC said, okay, out of respect for the admins, I'll wait until the time runs out and then I'll leave. And that's exactly what he did, which was very nice. And the small streamers thanked him and thanked the other big streamers for sticking around. And, if we can't go bomb the Spaniards in their fort, at least we can, shoot each other and have fun here. So it all sort of turned out all right in the end for the Americans, but oh boy, the Spaniards look really bad. And the American team is saying that they have to ban them from ever playing in this sort of contest again because they ruined it for everybody. It was 48 hours of dedication that turned into 48 hours of nothing. And now I feel like I've been talking for a half an hour, and I have. And now my music has run out, which is good because I'll hit another button. See if I can play something else. And we're going to take a very brief break. And I'm going to come back and talk to you about some more things. Back in a moment. And we're back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. Always have to readjust myself to get closer to the microphone. And we are here with you Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. You know, last week we talked about the NIL, name and likeness for student athletes, and how some of these players are even at the University of Nebraska. That all starters are sort of, I guess, guaranteed $100,000 a year to come and play for the school. Now, that sounds like a lot of money. But then I read something over the weekend where I guess there's a case of some really superior student, I believe playing in Ohio, or one of the big schools in Ohio. He structured a deal to pay him $1 million in name and likeness fees. And he was a quarterback. And he did not play one down his first year. But he still made $1 million. And then at the end of the season, he went into the transfer portal to leave that school to go somewhere else, probably for even more money. And that's a big problem. What's to stop these students from going to the transfer portal? And right now, you can just go. I believe every year, you can just go in the transfer portal and go to a different school if that school wants you. And people who know say that has to change. There has to be some limit that you can move once every 2 years or something, but not at the end of every season, because then some teams have to rebuild and it'll all calm down eventually, people hope. But as long as a student can take advantage of that, yeah, I'll take $1 million to go to your school. And by the way, if I'm not playing, by the end of my first year, I'm leaving. And they said the schools aren't really going to do anything about it because the inherent threat from these students is that if you don't give us our name and likeness money, then we're going to unionize and we're going to become employees of the university, which is what should happen right now. They are employees of the university. And this name and likeness thing is just a big scam and sham. And it's been going on under the table. Now it's just above table and people are seeing what these deals are really like. And as somebody commented, which I thought was very interesting, that if these students are taking $100,000 or $1 million in name and likeness fees, why are we giving them a scholarship? Because that used to be the big thing. You were getting a full ride to the university, which meant private tutoring, dorm, food, training table food, not the cafeteria food, training table food, delicious food with chefs, workout opportunities, a small stipend, and tuition. All paid for by the university and people who donate to the university and who hold season tickets to the sporting events. Then what do? Take away their scholarship. Why not? Why not? If they're making $100,000, they don't need a scholarship. They can pay their own way. It's very ridiculous and two-faced. And then other people say, well, maybe for the big sports. Men's basketball, men's football especially, but, women's sports, the golf team, the bowling team, they're not getting name and likeness money. And so people say, well, if they're making more than $50,000 in name and likeness, then they pay their own way. And if it's under that, then they get the full scholarship. Well, that's sticky too, because then not all student athletes are being treated the same. It's really a big mess. And I don't know if there's a way out of it. The NCAA, which is supposed to be the governing body, is losing all of its authority. And there are rumors that the coaches of the major programs are all going to get together and say, we don't need the NCAA. We can run this ourselves and make our own rules and be a self-governing body. We don't need the NCAA to tell us what to do, which I also think is true and right. But then you're going to have a problem because it's only going to be the schools who join this consortium to run their own school and program without NCAA interference is going to come into problems because they need schools that would probably remain under the influence of the NCAA for the protection. So they're not going to get their easy games against, Podunk University and Podunk College for their easy 2 wins every year that just are givens. They're going to win, start off the season 2-0. So university's all about money. And you wonder, well, what are you going to do? And even presidents at these prestigious universities, NYU and Howard and Columbia, are all leaving because all of this is changing. Even for the Ivy League, even for private schools. Or you have student athletes who want to be paid for performing and bringing prestige and money into the university. And they want a part of it. And being on a full ride scholarship is not enough. They want cold hard cash. And they want to be paid up front. Oh, we had a wonderful show today. I thank you so much for joining and giving comments and chat. And if you have a question or a comment, you can reach me, David, at Boles.tv. On Twitter, you can super follow at David Boles. On Facebook, it's BOLES. Instagram, it's Boles Books. TikTok is Boles TV. And our reruns, video on demand, VOD, can be found on Twitch, Boles TV, and also on YouTube at BOLES.live. Boles.live. So until I see you tomorrow at 9 a.m., Gardein says, thank you for having us. The new Thor movie trailer is out in the last hour, already 2 million views. That's very interesting. Now, I've heard things about the Thor movie and Disney and how upset conservatives are. And I didn't get to talk about book banning yet, but we'll do that tomorrow in conservatives. But the Disney people that they are woke, and that's why Eternals flopped, because I guess there were two men kissing each other. And there is an openly homosexual character in the new Thor movie because Bob Iger, when he was head of Disney, said we want diversity in sexuality and in skin color, and that is the new Disney mandate. And now that all these movies are coming out, the outraged right is trying to boycott Disney and take away their special status in Florida. I think they want to take away their lake or something, and take away their special status as a self-governing body with their own police force. So there is going to be heck to pay. And some people say, look, don't mess with the Disney mom. Don't tell her that her kids cannot go to a Disney movie. And then other people saying, why? Why are we dealing with this in a Thor movie? Why do we have to have an openly gay character? In the one movie, I guess there's some villain. Is it the Little Mermaid? Who is dark-skinned and who uses, I guess, effeminate gestures that are inspired by the gay community that parents find offensive, and that Disney found offensive and put up warning signs or something about that, about this and that. But I understand the take. Things that were okay 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe not be okay today. So what are you going to do with it? Just leave it and say, well, what can we do now? Well, you're re-releasing it. You're streaming it on your service. What are you going to do about it? It's an interesting topic, and one that we're probably going to dive into tomorrow. So people are excited for Thor, and I think there's also a female Thor in there, right? It's not just Chris. It's some new Thor character. But all you're going to hear about from the right wing when this movie is released is about the promotion of homosexuality in Thor. It's coming. It was all over the newspaper over the weekend. Probably in anticipation of this movie trailer, which I'm now going to go watch. So thank you, Mr. Gordon, for that. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a good evening, a terrific nap. And when ye shall awaken, I hope that your soul is filled with joy in the spirit of life. I will see you tomorrow